Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. On this week's episode, we talk about the best ways to market your brand. Let's get into it.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Totally tubular indeed. So, welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. It's good to have you guys with us here. However you got here, whatever you did to press play, press download. Thank you so much for doing so. Brand new content coming at you. Travis Ross joining me back from the beach town of Atlantic City, New Jersey, from the Impressions Expo. You can see right there the poker chip. It's almost as if they knew you would want that shirt because it is a poker chip. But we'll get into that later. We're going to have more updates from the Impressions Expo as well. But right off the top, Travis, even before we get into the waffle section, or maybe as like a little bit of a appetizer to the waffles, maybe a toast. Is toast an appetizer, or is that just a side? You decide there in the groups. Let us know what you think. But a bonus episode dropped on Monday. So if you are a loyal listener to the show, you get notifications in the feed. You know that this is not the first time you've got a notification that an episode dropped this week. We had a bonus one Monday, number 188. We've always talked about doing bonus episodes, and so finally it arrived. An interview with Mario Duval. How was that, man? How was the bonus episode? That interview looked like it's about a half an hour, but tell us a little bit about that and what people could expect if they want to go back and listen to the bonus episode.
Yeah, I won't talk a long time about it, but it was cool. Mario's been, starting to try to be active in our Facebook group and started a brand in a unique way using print on demand and doing trading cards. And you can listen to the episode if you want to learn more about it. But he reached out and was like, "Hey, I'd love to get on your show. I'd love to talk about, how to use this." And I usually when people reach out, I mean, I get emails all the time for like, "I think this guy will be an amazing guest on your podcast." And just it's some marketing team that's getting paid $10,000 to get the guy on 10 shows or something like that. A lot of those I just throw in the trash, or I might start with start creating a form letter and say, "Yeah, it'll cost, $500 to be a guest on our show." And we'd happily have them, just to, I don't know, kind of stick it to the man a little bit, but that was not the case with Mario. I could actually tell he was listening, engaged in the content, and he did do something that was pretty unique in the print on demand space. So had him on, tried to keep the show short, and so it wasn't like another whole hour episode or whatever. It was just kind of a short little teaser, kind of, "Hey, this is something cool, and we wanted to get it out to you guys." So we might be doing that with episodes in the future. We might not. I'm not going to commit to it. That's
we're non-committal on the idea of bonus episodes, is what Travis is saying.
Exactly.
Because who knows what the future holds in that regard. But man, we're here again. We're not going to talk too much about your weekend because that's the point of interest. But how has your time been? How was flying back? Did you come in the snowstorm that was inundating? Because we were at Megan and Jason's. Megan's dad's in town, and so we were hanging out with him, and then Firestone got nothing in terms of snow. And so we started driving back, and the minute we hit Johnstown, it was like whiteout blizzard. Like it was miserable. So I was thinking of you while I was like white knuckling through this weather, like Travis is flying back in this.
Yeah, it was like you couldn't see the captain came over and said, "Hey, there's a 1/4 mile visibility, so it's a total instrument approach, but we'll have you on the ground at blah blah blah." There were so many. First of all, I had to take a bus from Philly airport to Atlantic City because the Atlantic City airport's teeny tiny. And so I get on the bus, basically it took me over 12 hours to get from my hotel in Atlantic City to my home in Colorado. So yeah, we landed and it was just coming down. And of course I parked in, Kansas basically, and had to walk all the way to my car after a delay on getting pulled up to the to the jetway. And then they couldn't get the door open for like 10 minutes. And then the bags were delayed, and I'm sure that was, a lot of it was weather related.
Yeah.
And then usually it takes me about 30-35 minutes to get to the airport using the toll road.
Toll.
It took me
Yeah.
over an hour because I was driving like between 30 and 40 miles an hour on
Yeah.
E470. It
Yeah.
was just calming down. But finally got to my house about 1 a.m. And wanted to sleep in, but my wife was at another conference and she didn't get in till 3:30. So I drew the short straw on taking the kids to school in the morning and had to get up at 6:30 to get my kid out of bed and get my other kid to school. So I
Yeah.
got like hardly any sleep yesterday. I was not functioning much yesterday, but I did go to bed last night very early
Yeah.
and feeling much better. Feeling much
Well, that's
better
good.
today.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Finally recovered.
Of all the trips, to not have someone that is just providing you entertainment while those delays are happening. This is the one.
Would have been good to have you there, buddy.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was a crazy. Yeah, we're driving back in that, and then otherwise, my weekend was good. Had a pickleball, YA pickleball kind of hangout thing here at the Pickler in Loveland, which was a good
Nice.
time. And of course, Palm Sunday was great as well. So heading into another busy week, work life,
Easter.
and it's the Super Bowl for believers and Christians around the world coming up here soon. So it is Easter. It is a big day. So yeah, let's get into it though. I want to hear more about your weekend in Atlantic City for this week's point of interest.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to the Point of Interest part of the POD cast. So grab your hat and hold on tight because we got some learning to do.
Faked you guys out there for a second. You thought you were getting a bumper. No, you're not, but then you did. So you're welcome. All right, Travis, you were in Atlantic City at the Impressions Expo, your second one of the year. You spoke at both. So let's start with your talk. Actually, no, you want to start with, in chronological order, how things went for you. And this was, just for those listening, one of the only pictures I got from Travis for the weekend is the one we're about to share. But Travis, you want to let the people know what exactly is going on here in this photo?
Sure.
All right, here
So
we go.
the show started on Thursday morning, but I didn't get there till Thursday night.
Yeah,
because I didn't speak till Friday morning. But so I sat down at a video poker spot at the bar. You put $20 in or whatever, and you just slowly go through it, and they give you drinks. So it sounds like a great trade to me. I hit quad fours with an ace, and I was down, probably 13 or $14 or something like that. Left out of my 20, or I don't know. And I was just betting 25 cents, just sitting there killing time and having a good time talking to people around me. Hit these quad fours, and it put me back up over my $20 start. So I was already, 2 or 3 drinks in by then. I was thinking this is a good deal. So that was how my weekend started. Next morning, first of all, and of course I sent this to every person that knows me that plays poker because
and then you sent me this first. You sent me a picture of you when you first sat down with your old fashioned, and I was like, wow, I'm a little jealous. And then you sent me this, you're like, pays for all my losses, and my response was, and this is how they get you. this is what happens.
Yep. They reel you in.
Glimmer of hope. Yep.
Yeah. So Sunday or Friday morning, it was really early, or felt really early to me because I'm 2 hours behind.
Yeah.
So I had to get up at 7 to get like a shower and get over to, because I had to speak at 9. I wanted to get there like at 8:30. So technically, in my mind or in my world, I was 5 a.m. when I got up and 7 a.m. when I spoke. So that Starbucks coffee really kicked in.
Yes, sir.
It was good. During the talk, I, offered 20-minute free coaching sessions. And so I had a few of those out, for that afternoon. And then the next afternoon, I had a few where I just, said, hey, what do you want to talk about? How can I help you? And that was really cool. Got to meet a lot of really good people. Had a lot of fun at the show. Actually, when I went in the show, it was, a lot of screen printing, of course, but DTF continues to just dominate the market. And I didn't take a whole lot of pictures in the show because the 1070 that we talked about last week wasn't actually there.
Yeah.
Equipment Zone guys weren't there who were advertising it. Neither was All American who was advertising it. Neither was Epson as a brand. So I didn't get a picture of that. I didn't get to see that, hoping maybe if I end up at Fort Worth or Printing United, we might get to see it then.
Yeah.
But I did take a picture of a new thing that Brother is doing on their GTX Pro. You can't see the back, but basically this is a retrofitted GTX Pro where they put a roller on the front, and then in the back you can barely see it there. That's a shaker. So they're actually taking their existing DTG machine and turning it into a DTF machine on a roll. Because they don't want to be left out in the cold.
Right.
I was talking to the Victor, who I met and had dinner with actually later, but I was talking to him. He's the president and CEO of Omniprint, who started out and did a ton of DTG stuff and had DTG machines out there in the wild, and was at every show doing a ton of marketing. He has switched over and they have now 2 or 3 different DTF machines. He told me they sell 8 DTF machines to every 2 DTG machines they sell now.
Whoa.
Which I thought that's incredibly insightful, and like, wow, this market is changing. And I asked several people over the weekend who had been in the industry for years. I said, have you ever seen a piece of equipment come into the printing world that has caused more disruption in the printing world? And everyone was like, no, this is unprecedented what DTF has been doing. And the machine. So there wasn't a whole lot of extra stuff or things that I hadn't really seen. I mean, there was a few things. There was a couple laser engraver things that were really unique. But overall, it was more networking for me. And so I was fortunate enough to get invited to go to a really, really nice steak restaurant in the Borgata Hotel, which is a kind of newer hotel. I mean, this dinner, you could see several people. Cole, who's actually on our show, sitting next to me. His podcasting partner Gavin's there. That's Victor from Expo, or Omniprint. John Ladd, who is across the table from me. He's got a big screen printing shop with 50 plus employees down in Atlanta, does a lot of cool marketing stuff. And then next to him is Stan and his girlfriend, Blair, who he has like a YouTube channel for garment creators and stuff. He has over 100,000 followers, has really done well. He's got a small shop as well in Delaware. And then of course, there's yours truly. That dinner was amazing. Such a good time. And then afterwards, we hung out a little bit longer. So a lot of cool opportunities to hang out with really good people and build relationships. And we'll see where all that goes in the future. But overall, fun trip. Would go again. But I still think the Impressions Long Beach show in January, it's bigger.
Sure.
But because it was smaller, because Atlantic City was smaller, I think there was more opportunity to hang out with people. You know what I mean? Because we weren't as worried about making sure we were at every little thing at the show. And
right.
Because it was smaller and we had just seen it in January. So I think it freed people up to feel a little more social, and had a great trip. So awesome. If you guys have an opportunity to get to a trade show, we always say it. There's a lot of trade shows. Graphic Pro Expos have like 6 different shows all over the country every year. Printing United's going to be in Vegas this year. It's in September. The Dallas Fort Worth Impressions Expo is also going to be later this year. I can't remember what month that is, but I've never been to that one, but looking forward to potentially going to that one as well. And then if you can't make any this year, plan for January, Long Beach. That's a fun trade show, a really big one. You'll see a lot of really cool things. So really cool. I mean, all of these trade shows are basically free if you get in on the early bird rate, and you just have to pay for your travel and your hotel. If it's local, why not go and just drive home every night? It's a good experience. You can ask a lot of knowledgeable people, a lot of interesting questions, and really improve your ability to understand the garment industry, and just be able to educate your customers better and just feel more confident. I think at the end of the day, that's super important.
Yeah, absolutely. like Travis said, we talk about trade shows all the time, and they are super beneficial. So be sure to look out for the ones coming up, and we'll let you know as well if we know of ones that are coming up or upcoming that either will be at or Travis will be at, or that you should make yourself aware of. We will let you guys know what that looks like in the future. So the main event this week, we're going to talk about how to market your brand in 2024. But before we get there, we're going to go to everyone's favorite segment, the weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right, Travis, what you got?
Why does a chicken coop have 2 doors?
Don't know why.
Because if it had 4 doors, it'd be a chicken sedan.
So bad.
I
So
know.
bad. But as
It's
always,
really bad.
feel free to use that, folks, around your local poker table, because Lord knows that's where we'll use that one. So, awesome. So, yeah, let's get into it. The best ways to market your brand in 2024 for this week's main event. And Travis, I feel like maybe on the front end of this, we can talk a little bit about maybe a mistake. Like, I don't know if it's the number one mistake, but it's a very common mistake that people make when marketing their brands. So if you had to, identify maybe one to start out, like, hey, here's a mistake before we get into the details, or as our friend Nacho Libre says, get into the nitty gritty. What would that mistake be?
I think before you can talk about marketing, you really do need to establish your brand. And what I mean by establish your brand is it's basically getting the clarity around your brand, because none of your marketing efforts are going to work before you have the clarity around your brand and you've established it. So when you're starting out a brand, here's a couple of things that you need to think about and have really settled. And I would dare to say even written down somewhere, just so you can refer back to them. Because a lot of times what'll happen is you might establish a brand, but then once you get into marketing and you're doing all the things, your brand gets left behind. You forget about this clarity that you've established. So a couple of things that I believe you need to work out before you even get into the marketing is, first and foremost, is your positioning. Where are you positioning yourself in the market? And so the way to figure that out is to answer a couple of questions around branding. And you can find this stuff on Google, man. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can get some good questions to really chew on this and then make good establishing branding decisions. So first of all, like, what problem are you solving for the market? Is the thing that you think you're solving even a problem? I mean, have you talked to your customer base? First of all, who is your customer base? Who are you solving this problem for? And then have you interviewed them to make sure that this is even a problem? Or have you even asked these questions? Because if you're not really solving a problem or providing a solution of some sort, you're not really positioning yourself in a way that's going to capture the market. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason for me to follow you or be interested in your brand if you're just another, you just have a cool logo. That means nothing to me. You have to be able to serve my needs and what I'm needing for me to be interested enough to give you a follow or get to your email list or the ultimate goal of buying something from you. So that's the first one. The next one is consistency. And I think the questions around here are, how are you going to be consistent with your brand? And this goes back to like writing it down so you can see it, you can understand it.
Right.
I was talking, the example I'll say with this is, I was talking with Victor from Omniprint, and I asked him, what did you see in the marketplace that caused you to go so heavily into DTF when you guys were doing so well in DTG? Because he had to start his development process and his planning for the DTF like 4 years ago. And it was just kind of a glimmer in the printing world's eye at that point. And he said, it really goes back to our mission and our values as a company, because My vision and my mission for the company that we try to come back to is to serve our customers and to put them in the positions where they can succeed in their print businesses. Otherwise, it's just a slogan on the wall, And so that to me was a great example of being consistent in your brand messaging. Hey, we want to serve you. And so because we want to serve you, we're going to innovate. We're going to go into these other, that may or may not take off. He's done a lot of things that have not even seen the light of day. He was telling me about different products they've developed and all this stuff, but it all comes back to, will this help my customer? Will this solve my problem? Can I be consistent in that, in delivering value to my customer? And if not, it's not going to see the light of day,
Yeah.
So there's a couple more. Go ahead, Josiah, you share some.
Yeah. So, authenticity, differentiation. My God, what a word.
That's the one.
What a word that turned into for me.
Pressure.
So, but talking about authenticity, just being authentic to your brand, to yourself. I've talked about this a lot in content where, a lot of people will buy and support your story more than they'll necessarily want to buy and support because you have a cool t-shirt or you have a nice aesthetic. So being authentic to your brand, to your base, to your niche, but also being authentic with them and what you produce content-wise. And we'll get more into that as well when it comes to like social media, the balance of shilling and the balance of, being funny or entertainment or nonsense dad jokes, but but being authentic is huge because that's when you will earn people's trust, their buy-in as well. So podcast in our archives, episode 158, learning about POD the hard way. Travis' story that you have there, Travis, you want to speak to that a little bit, and then they can dig in more intently.
This is this is an example of being authentic with your audience. Me shutting down my fulfillment center in last summer was a really hard choice. I was in a really difficult spot emotionally, and usually one of the things that I said on that show that I think rings true for most people, but I don't know that it's necessarily authentic, is usually you don't talk about failure until there's a new success, and I had no new success. I just had a big failure, but I didn't want to hide it. I wanted to be authentic. And so that's why we shared, and I shared my story about, scaling this thing and maybe scaling too fast and having these, my margin issues that I had to address. And so that was really the reason I had to shut down. And, but I feel like that's a good example of just being authentic. If you want to follow us, great. If you don't want to follow us because I, didn't continue to scale or whatever, that's also fine. I'm going to be true to who I am. Josiah's going to be true to who he is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think you have to do when you're trying to figure out that clarity around your brand and how you're going to present that to the world. Because if you're not authentic, people will smell it a mile away.
100%.
Really. Yeah.
Yep. And then last one is differentiation.
Right.
What makes you different from the competitors? So you're not the only person with a t-shirt brand or a clothing brand or an e-commerce store. So what's going to be the point of difference for you? Sometimes authenticity can be that point of difference where you are just more vulnerable, you're more real, you're more true to who you are. And the content brings them, they call it BTS, behind the scenes content. I know when I had for apparel, the content that I would post either on our TikTok channel or Instagram story that seemed to get the most engagement was like, honestly, shirts coming off the printer, being like, I would do this thing. My friend Adam and I, who Adam now lives in Orlando, but there's probably 6 months where we kind of started this brand called Kayfabe Tees, which was targeted towards professional wrestling and kind of poking fun. Our tagline was poking fun at a fake sport. So that was what we did. So we'd make shirts that were kind of punny and wrestling fans would get it. And so what we would do, when a shirt would come off the printer, I would film that shirt coming off the printer. I would tag who made the order tag them on Instagram, post it to our story, post it as a reel. And we would, have content that would bring people behind the curtain and just say, hey, this is how it was made, or hey, this is coming to you, thanks for your support, or hey, this is what things look like, from an order or volume standpoint. But people really enjoyed being brought behind the scenes. So sometimes that can be the point of differentiation, along with quality of prints, customer service, quality of garments. Those kinds of things can make you different. So you have to figure that out as well. And once you've established your brand, and not before that, you can move on to marketing. So we've talked a lot about already kind of social media, because that's kind of the world that I did most of my marketing in for What For Pro when we had that. And so there's this thing called the 80-20 rule. So 80%, 20%. 80% would be unique content, funny, educational, viral, but not selling. Nothing, and Travis, you can speak to this too, but nothing turns me off faster from a page or a brand or whatever if it's just 100% them trying to sell something or shill something. There's a deal, or use coupon code, or 10% off, or if that's all it is, I'm just like, dude, I don't know anything about this brand. It's kind of annoying that that's all they're going to do is fill my feed with basically product ads for their company.
I remember we had Will LaMonica on the show, and he said nobody wants to follow a commercial, you know? And so obviously, so you got that 80-20 rule, 80% unique content, and just 20% would be your like top of the funnel, kind of trying to get them into your marketing machine, which could be like, it could be a coupon. It could be, hey, check out our new line or whatever. But you've got to really ride that line, and it might only be like 15% or 10%. It depends on your niche, of course, but you don't want to just constantly be shilling your products. We get people all the time that are following us on Instagram, printondemandcast.com/Instagram. If you want to follow us, but they follow us, and it's a lot of people, or a lot of the accounts that are following us are like people who are designers, and they're trying to, they literally, the only thing they have on their entire page are all of their designs that they've done. They have there's no reason for me. Designs are a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? It's what you do with the designs. It's how you market the designs. It's the brands that are presenting these designs. That's the important thing. That's where everybody's going to make money. And so their brands that they're like, trying to get me to follow are 100% salesy, and it feels gross. It doesn't feel gross. It's just like, I don't have time for that. I want to have a relationship with, the people we follow. So that's why we don't follow a lot of people that follow us, because a lot of the people that follow us are simply trying to get in front of us with marketing all the time. That's it. And so that I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I bet everybody that's listening to this knows what I'm talking about when they get people following them that all they want to do is market, or you get a DM that's like, hey, we've seen your awesome channel and we'd like to feature it on our whatever. Come on, bro.
Send this to direct to Garment Fest channel or tag, and it's like, no, certainly not going to do that. But
so that's the first thing about social media. The second thing that you really want to focus on when it comes to like marketing or using social media as a marketing channel is staging your accounts or your account, account or accounts. And what do I mean by this is making sure that this kind of goes back to branding and positioning, making sure that everything looks quote unquote right. Like you've got your bio, you've got your brand logo, and it's all similar or feels what was the word we used? It feels consistent. There's a consistency to it. And you really, really, really want to make sure that you out of the gate, your first few posts work great, because this is not only going to help you with your customers later on down the road when they come and see your stuff, that it looks all consistent, and it basically supports your brand, it supports what you're trying to do, but it also is going to help you, and we'll talk about this a little later, with your brand partnerships, because people that you want to work with, be it advertisers or influencers or whoever, either them advertising with you or you advertising with them, vice versa, they're always going to come to your socials and check them. And so if it's smattered all over the place, I remember for a long time with Instagram, I would just be like, I just have to do something. I have to put something up there. And so I was just putting stuff out there. And recently, I don't know, in the last few months, Josiah has taken a stronger position in that. And one of the things he said when we were talking about what this looks like in the future, he was like, yeah, it'd be great to establish a consistent brand identity on our socials. And so
Right.
if you scroll way down in our Instagram to way back when, it was different every single time. It was very fragmented and not consistent. And then in the last several months, those posts have been more consistent. And we're not saying we've arrived or
Yeah,
anything
we're not the best.
like that. Yeah, but it's something that we have started placing a bigger importance on, because if and when people do want to reach out to us and do a brand partnership, they're going to see that and they're going to be like, okay, these guys understand consistency. They understand the consistent part of being a brand. And so that's also going to help you market your brand to the masses, just having that consistency, having that staging for your social media accounts, to where when somebody comes onto your account, they see something there that's worth following, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So next on the list here would be email marketing. But Travis, clearly email's dead, right? Like, why would anyone want to use email marketing?
Yeah, that's so 1990s.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
yeah.
It's also 2024, buddy.
Yeah, the 90s called via dial-up, and they want their marketing method back. So no, but it's still effective. Some stats: 52% of people bought something from an email in 2023.
52%.
52%.
That's over half of people.
Yes. Email outperformed banner ads and SMS text marketing by 108% in 2023. For every $1 spent on email marketing, $36 is made in return. So I feel like that is all the answers you need as to why email marketing is a viable option to get your product, your message, your brand in front of people's faces.
Yeah. And I think we probably should have put a caveat in on this the things that we're talking about in this episode. They will take time. They will take a long time too. And you have to be consistent for a long time for these things to work. But because like, you're not going to, pay $20 or $30 or whatever to your email thing and get a few emails on there and then go, well, I paid $20, 20 times 36 is,
Yeah.
and expect to make that money day one. No, you have to build this over time. And so some of the ways that you can build an email list in an effective way, you need to give people easy ways to opt in. So on a website, maybe you have a pop-up or something like that, or you have a special page. That's what we do. We have a pop-up on our website. We also advertise it on our show. Hey, go to the Print on Demand Cast /VIP and sign up for our email list. We offer a freebie that is hopefully incentivizing people to show up. You could put your email list, hey, subscribe to our email list and get a discount. You could put like a card or something inside the product packages. A lot of vendors will allow you to do that for maybe an extra fee, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Especially if eventually, first of all, for the return possibility of that person coming back just because you gave them a 20% discount or a 25% or 30%, whatever your margins are. But also you got that person on your email list now. So you can market to them for free forever until they unsubscribe, if they unsubscribe, but you have that ability now that you didn't have before you paid that 50 cents to put that thing in there. 50 cents is super cheap to obtain an email. Then of course, using coupon offers to capture emails, that's going to always work. Maybe on your Instagram or on your social media, you can do something like that. My suggestion, or the way you would do that effectively, is you're going to drive people to your website to enter their email so it can go into your email list and then email them their coupon. You don't want to just go, here, as soon as you click oh, I want this coupon, it just shows up like in the comments or something, because
Right.
then you're not optimizing that to actually
Right.
capture their email. And
Right.
then the last thing I think we could say about email, or one of the last things, there's probably a lot more, is use that 80-20 rule on
Yeah.
your email follow-up sequence.
Yep.
So they opt in, maybe you set up a sequence that's just, helping them, or helping solve a pain point, or making them aware, educating them about something. Only, you do that 80% of the time in your follow-up, and only use, a salesy kind of thing. Hey, also check out our line. Just do that 20% of the time. Because again, no one wants to follow a commercial, and you'll get more unsubscribes if every single time you email, it's just trying to sell them something.
Yeah, for sure. The 80-20 rule is huge.
Mhm.
And again,
And
it
just
lends
about everything.
itself, yeah, it lends itself to the authenticity thing too. Because if you're not doing the 80-20 rule, and you're not allowing your personality to kind of show through your social media channels, whatever it is that you're using to market. I mean, if you sign up for the VIP email that we have here at Print on Demand Cast, the VIP emails that you get, they're not just shill. It's
Right.
Travis has more stuff about New Atlantic City. There's a bonus dad joke. He oftentimes will throw in, like, here's a picture, like a couple weeks ago, here's a picture of my backyard. Look at all this snow. It's ridiculous. Or when the Chiefs unfortunately won the Super Bowl, it was like a clip of them, his family celebrating. So you learn a lot more through the VIP about your host, your hosts, the podcast, who we are. And you learn a lot through our episodes too. That's why there's a banter section. That's why there's a dad joke, because it's just who we are. And it would be inauthentic for us to come up and give you something that's just really robotic and stale and just straight pitchy and sign up for this and do that. So the next piece is influencer marketing. Again, this is something that we have a lot of experience with. My wife did this a lot on her Etsy store when she was doing home decor. So there's going to be people in your niche that have a good following for whatever reason that is. They're an influencer and they have a captive audience. And so to have them promote your product to their captive audience is a huge win for you. So first, you're going to have to offer to send the apparel, but no strings attached. Just, hey, thought you might enjoy this. Hey, I follow your page. Hey, this is awesome. Want to send you this as a gift. Enjoy this t-shirt. I used to do that all the time with What For Apparel. Back when I would scroll TikTok, I'd find there's a guy who all he does is taste test, or he does different like drinks, and he'll take audience suggestions or audience. Oh, the 90s called. So he'll take suggestions from his followers of, hey, you should try, this kind of whiskey and mix it with this. And so that's all he does. And he has a couple sayings. And one of them was, good evening, you beautiful buttholes.
Oh my gosh.
And so I put that on a shirt in the shape of like a pint glass. So it was like the text was conformed to the shape. And Sinker and Drinker was another one that I did with like an anchor. And I found he had an email or a PO box that he listed. And I just sent him the shirts and said, hey, I would love to have an opportunity to produce your merch. If not, that's fine. But I'm a huge fan of your channel. Here's the t-shirts. And I didn't do his merch, but he ended up wearing the shirt in one of his videos, which was great for me. Just to be like, oh, at least he got it. It didn't go anywhere. And sometimes it might not, or you might have to follow and kind of bump it, maybe send something else. But all that to say, if they, you want to do no strings attached first. And then after that, you have to be willing to pay for the right kind of exposure to that specific demographic, whether it is giving them a percentage or a royalty or a cut of some sort, because it's an audience that you don't have access to, and they are the gatekeeper, and rightfully so, because they've done the 80-20 rule. They've done all of their brand building and intentionality behind the audience that they have. So you have to be willing to respect and honor that by saying, yeah, that's worth X amount of money per sale to get access to that demographic.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our people aren't necessarily producing merch, so they might not, you might not be a person that's going to send this guy the shirts, wanting to produce or be the kind of the middleman for them on their merch. But when they wear that on their channel, you're going to screen grab that and you're going to put that on your your website as social proof, or put it out on tag them on Instagram and say, hey, check this out, he wore my shirt or whatever, with a link to your website. And then you're going to absolutely have that available to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's always a way to, I mean, it doesn't even have to be something that most people can find, but you could have a hidden link that just has that product that's
Yeah.
not necessarily in your brand even, but you can use that, as either social proof that, hey, people are wearing some of the things that we produce, or just trying to take advantage, link, to, or comment on that video with a link or whatever it is, to make a few extra sales. There's a lot of ways you can kind of skin this influencer marketing cat,
Yeah,
you,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, paying somebody to wear your stuff is one on a video, creating something unique for them that is perfect for them is another way.
Mhm.
And then there's a new strategy that, as we were writing kind of some of our notes for the show, Josiah reminded me of, and that's TikTok shops are blowing up right now. Josiah, why don't
Yeah.
you share a little bit about how TikTok shops work and how, like, somebody who's, just has a brand
Yeah.
can take advantage of that?
Yeah, so TikTok Shop is something that's come on board in the last year, and it's kind of taking. I mean, I'd probably say 1 out of every 5 videos that I scroll is like a TikTok Shop partnership of some sort. So,
Mm,
as a brand owner, for example, I made my first purchase from a TikTok Shop 2 weeks ago, and it was for a brand of sunflower seeds that are like flavored, right? And I'm a
mm,
huge fan of sunflower seeds. So, like growing up, my family would eat sunflower seeds while watching movies instead of popcorn. So that was
mm,
like the go-to. So I was like, "Oh, this looks really cool." And I saw it for another creator. It wasn't this brand of sunflower seeds. It was a creator, an influencer that was talking about their brand, was offering a deal or promoting a deal. So I just swiped and was like, "Yeah, that's really cheap for 8 bags of whatever." So I just hit buy. So that's what you can do as a brand owner. You can upload. They have a Seller Central backend. I can't
mhm,
speak authoritatively on what that looks like because I've never sold anything on the back end through the back end of TikTok. But
mhm,
you can add your brand. You can add your shirts, your products, whatever it is. There's a hot sauce company that I followed for a long time that sells on there. So the cool thing is once it's there, you can then have TikTok influencers promote your stuff and point directly back to your TikTok shop, which is all. And the huge thing is that it's all in TikTok's ecosystem.
mm.
So you're
Right.
not sending people out to a different link. You're not sending them to Etsy. You're not sending them to Amazon. It's all housed within TikTok. If you open up your TikTok app and you swipe to the left, it goes to TikTok shop now first before it goes to the people that you're following. So
Wow.
it's all there. And that's a huge advantage because you can have people promote your product, you can work out commission deals with them, and it's all housed. So your target demographic is already on TikTok. They don't have to go anywhere else. They'll be able
Yeah.
to purchase everything right then and there because they found it from another person that they're following, as well. And you can do paid business ads. You can do all of that kind of stuff through TikTok Shop as
Right.
well. But the thing that I'm finding that at least hooks me to the point of almost buying, with the exception of the sunflower seeds, is that it's a influencer that I already watch their content and I'm like, whoa, that's
Mm,
okay. What do they talk? Oh, or it's a funny video. Oh, they're promoting this brand. I'm going to swipe and see what the brand is at least. So it gets
mhm.
me in the door. So I mean, I feel like that's a huge new
Awareness.
strategy and tool to bring awareness and capture sales on a platform that has so many eyes on it already.
Yeah, it is really, really, TikTok's massive, obviously. And,
Yeah.
whether or not you're okay with TikTok or not, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme
Right.
of things. Maybe it matters to you and that's fine, but there's sales happening every single day, like thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of sales happening every day. The cool thing about starting a Seller Central account on TikTok is that it allows you to become an affiliate to sell other people's merch. So
Yep.
depending, of course, on, your comfort, level on TikTok and what your channel is, already, you can potentially start selling other people's stuff on your channel. And this is obviously completely off brand. This is just an extra kind of side hustle that you're seeing a lot of people posting about on YouTube right now, along with the Amazon influencer program. Well, the TikTok thing is really, really hot. I know a guy just made $1,000 in a day promoting something. The day before he made 600, then he made 1,000. Some of these people are making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a short period of time promoting super, super popular products. Now, I'm not saying that this is like, they're not, you might not make a $10,000 day sale sharing your t-shirt on the TikTok shop. I mean, these are like, a lot of them are like supplements and different things like that. But my point is that once you create a seller account on TikTok, you can automatically do those influencer videos and potentially, make one that's viral and really, really make a lot of money with it. So as an additional side hustle. But for the purposes of this particular podcast, we're talking specifically about building brand. And that is a new way that you can get your products into the hands of potential influencers that will then potentially make sales for you. And you're just paying the TikTok, fee or whatever it is, which includes a commission to that influencer. So yet another way to use influencer marketing to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one and the last one, paid ads. This is again, Travis. Some people say paid ads, Facebook. Who's on Facebook anymore? But I feel like you got some stats. You got some hard, cold numbers that don't care about people's opinions of Facebook. It is just the truth. So yeah, what does that look like?
Yeah. So if you're a follower of the show, back in, I don't know, last November, last October, I remember I was talking about a particular niche that I had done that had a kind of a political bent that I had done back in 2020 and been really successful with. And now that we're coming into a new election cycle, I was like, okay, I got to get this thing up. I really want to get it up for Christmas. And unfortunately, the way Facebook operates with political stuff is even though it was parody, I had to jump through so many different hoops, and it's not really well outlined on Facebook. So I had to talk to support, and it took a long, long time. And I actually didn't get online to Facebook with my ads until really the Christmas season was kind of over, which really, really sucked. But because the football season goes, until February or whatever, I went ahead and took a shot and kept running these ads, because it's like a political / football kind of amalgamation that, makes sense. And it's a parody of sorts. So I started, pushing these ads, and I have the stats from January 1 until today. Now I have since stopped marketing these because the football season's over, even though there's still things happening. There's some hardcore fans but people are, there's changes happening. And I kind of want to wait until we get to
the XFL and the USAFL. It's coming.
What was I thinking?
No one knows who any of those players are, but
that's true.
The Rock is doing it. So
I'm sure if I, would jump on that bandwagon, I could have
get in early.
Results.
Yeah, get in early. There's like 8 cities that you can target specifically for this team. Just Google the roster and see what happens.
But that's the cool thing about Facebook, is because, I can target by demographic and, location and interests and all of these different things. If you can kind of get all that together and create that secret sauce, it's really awesome. So I'll just share a few of my stats here on my Facebook ad manager. So my cost per result from January 1st to today, which I stopped about, I stopped a few weeks after the Super Bowl because I started seeing sales slowly trickle off, and I was like, okay, I think we're done here. My cost per result was $5.15. And a result is a put in the cart and check out. And so the cool thing about it is that I was making between $13 and $14 with shipping and everything per unit. But a lot of these results that the 515 kind of encapsulates were were like 2 and 3 shirts and a mug and, multiple products. So my average cart value was probably in the $35 range. And of that $35, anywhere from 10 to, I would say, $25 was profit. And I was spending $5.15 to make anywhere between 10 and $25. Pretty dang good. My cost per 1,000 impressions was $5.92. So if you can do the math there, that means less than 1,000 people had to see my ad or just have the
Yeah.
impression before somebody would actually buy. It was costing me 33 cents per click to
Wow.
actually get somebody to click and see my product page. I did not send them to a landing page first. I sent them directly to the product page because I was showing the product right there. I
Yeah.
didn't try to collect their email until they bought. I'm trying to make it as seamless as I possibly could for this particular experiment. I know there's people out there. You can find all kinds of stuff on YouTube that have all these cool, super awesome strategies to, maximize the value, the lifetime value. I was not at that point, I was not collecting emails. People were like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, yes, I was crazy. I should have. And maybe I will when I, turn this back on for the next kind of round.
Yeah.
I should have listened to this episode first. But yeah, so literally, guys, 33 cents a click. Now, I did kind of hit a magic button, because I put 2 niches together and brought them, and then I targeted specific to those niches. But you can do that with your brand, use your
Yeah.
brand and then find an event or something that makes sense to combine. And that can be your secret sauce for this
Yeah.
stuff. There's so many different strategies. You can do what I did. You can drive direct to a product page.
Yep.
You can drive traffic to your website to give them a coupon code. So basically you're promoting a coupon code to get
Yep.
this thing. You drive them and you say, hey, you can get this thing for 20% off, and you get an email that way. There you go. And then they go to the product page and they put
Yeah.
their thing in. They might not even check out, but you still have their email.
Right.
You can also drive traffic to a Facebook page just to get likes. You
Yeah.
want to build up your Facebook page, and then you find all these people that have this similar interest, and then you create what's called a lookalike audience that you can then market to with a coupon code or a direct link. You see, so there's all these different strategies that you can scale, and you can really, really get massive. I remember last time in 2020, I was at one point, I was spending $250 a day on ads. And I was killing it with this particular strategy during the Father's Day time. And it was 4 years ago. So it's probably not going to be maybe as effective this Father's Day, but maybe it will be. The thing is that you need to expect to pay more at the beginning while Facebook is in what it's called their learning stage.
Right.
And you can do all kinds of, you can do multiple campaigns, lots of different things, lots of different ideas, see which ones are winners, cancel the ones that aren't.
Yeah.
Fund the ones with, that extra money for the ones that are. I could have continued to scale this, but since this football season was winding down, I basically kind of tapered it off and didn't, really, really pour gasoline on that fire. But that's my experience with Facebook ads, like my recent experience. And I know very, very little about this, and I was able to be successful. So my guess is with an effective strategy, and testing different strategies, and then again pouring gasoline on the ones that you're seeing some traction with, you can be really, really successful with Facebook ads. Yes, today in 2024, they still do work.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't sleep on Facebook ads. Don't sleep on email marketing. But before all of this, again, like we said, you got to establish the brand first, and then you can dive into marketing the then established brand. But that does it for this week's main event. Travis, anything else you want to say? I know for one thing we want to definitely say, we talked about email marketing. We talked about this, and we did mention it already. But if you haven't yet, please do go sign up for printondemandcast.com/email/VIP, which is our weekly email. And you'll get extra content like we talked about, an extra dad joke, more insight, more tips, more tools, more tricks, and things that we might not talk about on the show that are only there exclusively in the newsletter. So please avail yourself of that. And then again, you get a design calendar in exchange for your email that will help you kind of stay on top of holidays and topical things that are coming your way, so you can plan to sell and design accordingly. So Travis, anything else about either VIP or this episode in general before we put a bow on it and we'll wrap it up?
I'm going to say one more thing, and maybe some of you have already pushed the fast forward button because you've heard us talk about the VIP email list for a while. But I may be biased, but I feel like this particular episode had a lot of really gold nuggets. And I think there was a lot of examples of what we were talking about, things that we've already done that kind of prove out some of those points that we were talking about. It would mean so much if you took a minute and went over to Apple Podcasts and just left a 5-star review, or went to the mobile Spotify and just gave us a review. That'd mean a lot to us. If this particular episode really kind of caught your ear, you found some value in it, leave us a review. That'd mean a lot to us. Also get on our VIP list, but leave us a review, because I really do think that helps the algorithm. It helps people find this stuff. And I really am committed to helping our audience. And there's a lot of different segments of our audience. Some of you don't even necessarily have a brand, and you're just doing a marketplace kind of scatter approach. But I do think we're trying to help you guys. We're trying to help that audience. And so if you have a minute, go over to Apple Podcasts and write out a 5-star review. We'll shout you out on the show, and also just we'll love you forever.
Yeah,
because
forever.
You'll be in our hearts.
You have our undying love and loyalty,
or something like that,
to you.
Yeah.
You devil.
I was trying to find a way.
I got you.
And I'm glad that you did. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. We will be back next week again with a brand new content. But until then, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.